Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of CTLN Opinion Plus. As you know, this is a space for our opinions and our concerns for the Latino community. This week we are talking to Mayor Luke Bronin, the mayor of Hartford, Connecticut. Good afternoon, Mayor Bronin. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good to be with you.
Um, I have heard a lot about you. I've seen you in a lot of news stories, and I've noticed that you attribute your success with the Hispanic Latino community, and while focusing on jobs, education, and neighborhoods. Let's start with jobs. The state is experiencing its third consecutive monthly job loss. What are you doing to get the economy going again uh, after such a horrible, horrible economic time?
Thanks for the question. It has been a devastating year economically for so many families, for so many businesses. There's been so much job loss, and small businesses in particular have been hit hard. We've tried to do a number of things at the city level to help our small businesses especially get through this. We were the first city in Connecticut, I think, to launch a local small business grant program. And we've now given out a couple of $1 million to small businesses throughout the city, neighborhood businesses that employ Hartford residents. And as we look forward to the months ahead, and in particular, as we think about how to use the relief funding that we're receiving from the federal government, from President Biden's administration and the Democrats in Congress, we are going to be putting a real priority on helping our businesses recover. Fortunately, there's also a lot of other sources of funds and programs out there from the federal government and the state government. And so we're encouraging all of our small businesses to take advantage of that. We know how difficult this year has been. We know that so many businesses need a lifeline. And those local small businesses are the lifeblood of our community, our neighborhoods. They're also the businesses that are most likely to employ folks in our community, in our neighborhoods. So we're going to continue to do everything we can to support and help those businesses, not just while we're in this pandemic, but as we recover from it.
And with everything reopening again, a lot of these businesses have been closed for a really long time. Can you tell us more about your small business grants?
Sure. So we've done a few rounds of small business grants. They've been, for the most part, between $5,000 and $10,000. We focused early on those small businesses that weren't able to access the first round of PPP funding, that federal business relief program. Hopefully, it's become a lot easier for businesses to get access to that money. But in the meantime, we've continued to give funds to small businesses who have applied, and we work through partners. So, for example, we work closely with SAMA, the Spanish American Merchants Association, which has provided technical assistance to a number of small businesses around our city to help them understand how to apply, not just for our grant program, but also for the state and federal programs that are out there. The bottom line is there's an awful lot of support out there for businesses right now, but our businesses have to go after it. And fortunately, we've got great partners like SAMA that are working hand in hand with our businesses to help make that possible.
Continuing on the topic of the pandemic, COVID-19 heightened the disparities of the Black and Brown communities, especially in education. In your opinion, what are the lessons learned and the changes that need to be made in order to make education more equitable?
Well, beyond the loss of life and the direct health impact of the pandemic, the thing that keeps me up at night most about this pandemic is the incredible loss to our kids. I mean, the loss of a school year. For many students, an entire year of remote learning, which is just no substitute for being in the classroom with peers and with teacher. And it's going to be years of work to help our kids recover from that. This is not just the work of a semester or a summer. This has got to be a massive multi-year effort to help our kids recover and heal. Our school system is very, very focused on that right now. And that includes expanding in a big way the summer learning opportunities this coming summer and in the summers ahead, as well as making sure that there is more tutoring available, more resources available, especially for kids with special needs and English language learners who are likely to have been set back the most over this past year. So I know our school system is working closely on that. And there, too, we're fortunate that President Biden and the Democrats in Congress pushed through a bill that had a lot of funding for education. That makes that massive multi-year effort possible. And we're going to be working hand in hand with our school system to do that. The other piece of this is, we saw early on that access to the internet is not just a nice to have. I mean, it is essential for every aspect of life right now, whether it's doing a job, applying for a job, or going to school. So we have launched a program. It's creative. There are not a lot like it in the country, where we are building a citywide free Wi-Fi system that we hope will offer pretty good speeds to residents throughout our city. And we hope that that will make a big difference in at least narrowing the gap when it comes to internet access and the digital divide.
One of the worst images I saw during the pandemic was students outside of Taco Bell or a Starbucks trying to get Wi-Fi and to do their classes. Another big issue is a lack of supplies. Laptops are needed. How can we ensure that all of these communities are receiving the necessary supplies to continue schooling in case anything happens?
So we've been I think we've been fortunate. And I think our teams have done a really good job of making sure that our students had the hardware that they needed, the equipment. Even in just the first few weeks of the pandemic, we distributed about 10,000 laptops to students throughout the city, and then worked to make sure that every student had access to a laptop or whatever device they needed to participate in school. What's important, though, is that we continue to make sure that our kids have that. And I'm hopeful that in the big proposal that President Biden rolled out today, which calls for significant spending on broadband infrastructure, that there will be some resources for communities like ours to be able to continue that work. So again, I think we did a good job, and I give huge credit both to our school system and to our IT team here in the city that worked round the clock to get devices out to families and to kids, and then to help family by family with any connectivity issues that were a problem. But we know that that's an ongoing effort, and it's going to have to keep going for a long time as we work to close that gap.
During my time in reporting Connecticut, it seems that everything starts at Hartford, and if it works in Hartford, it can work in the rest of the state. One of those things is transportation. We spoke to the transportation commissioner, and he was talking about changes in public transportation. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, one of the announcements that the governor and his team made today was that they're going to be offering free bus service on weekends starting this summer, and that's obviously a welcome thing. But I think one of the things that I think is really important is that coming out of this pandemic, as we have so much work to do to help get people employed again and get jobs filled and growing, is recognizing the role that transportation plays. So often in Connecticut, transportation prevents somebody from taking a job or getting to a job on time. And it's a real issue. It's an equity issue, it's an opportunity issue, and it's an economic development issue. So I'm encouraged that the Vermont administration, is recognizing the importance of that. But I think we've got a long way to go to broaden out the transit network in Connecticut in general, to make sure that the service isn't just available in the city, but that there is stronger connectivity and bus services that connect to the region as a whole, because it really is so critical to employment. The other thing that I've been personally passionate about and pushing hard on is rail service and modernizing our rail infrastructure, particularly since here in Hartford, we sit halfway between New York and Boston. And as we think about economic opportunities for our residents, tying ourselves more closely into those big metro areas, those big economies, will create opportunity. So I've been pushing hard to with our congressional delegation down in Washington and with folks around New England for a real investment in modern 21st century rail infrastructure to begin making that connectivity possible, because I think it'll make a lot of economic growth possible.
I agree. I think public transportation is great on the East Coast compared to the West Coast. That's where I'm from. But I definitely love public transportation, and I have a huge appreciation for it. So thank you for focusing on that. I guess going back to another aspect of COVID-19, because that seems to be the focus of everything. On April 1st, Hartford will open a vaccination site for first come, first served. What is the vaccination rate of the city, and at what point of vaccination do you feel comfortable enough to reopen the state fully? The city, my
Well,
bad.
I mean, look, in terms of reopening, those decisions are the governor's more so than mine. My focus is on trying to get every single person vaccinated. It's not just that I'm shooting for some percentage. We want everybody protected. And that involves a lot of different pieces of the effort. One is just the educational work to make sure that everybody recognizes that these vaccines are safe, they're effective, they have been tested and tried, and the vaccine is the way we beat this virus and put this pandemic in the past. I am getting my vaccination tomorrow. As we talk today, I'm getting it tomorrow, and I can't wait. And I encourage everybody to remember that even if you might be reluctant to get it or thinking that maybe you don't need to get it for yourself, just like with masks, getting that vaccine isn't just about you. It's about everybody around you. It's about your loved ones. It's about your neighbors, your classmates, your colleagues, or your community as a whole. So get that vaccination so we can put this thing behind us. That's the first thing. The second thing is we're trying to make it as easy as possible for everybody to get vaccinated. We have a whole bunch of vaccination sites running every single day throughout the city. We have teams that are making phone calls in English and Spanish, folks who are out knocking on doors, 5 days a week, English and Spanish, trying to help people get appointments and get vaccinated. But we're also starting this series of no appointment necessary clinics, walk-up clinics where, we just set up shop, we come with a few hundred vaccines, and we vaccinate anybody who comes by because, again, we want to make it as easy as possible. But we really need our community's partnership. We need our community to help one another feel comfortable with it, to encourage one another, to spread the word. And if you're interested in volunteering to help sign people up, whether it's your friends or family or your neighbors or just anybody you know, you can go to our website at hartfordct.gov and sign up, and we will train you in how to make appointments for people. And then you can become part of the army that's helping to get Hartford vaccinated.
Speaking about the community, a lot in my neighborhood, a large part of the community is older, and they don't want to get vaccinated because of they've heard misinformation of what's in the vaccine. How do we address misinformation, especially in older communities that may be suspicious of the vaccine's fast development?
Well, a couple things. One, if you are older, it's all the more important that you get this vaccine. Over the last week, we have been commemorating the anniversary of the first lives lost to the coronavirus in our community. Nearly 300 people have died in Hartford. We're a small city. I mean, that's a devastating toll. And so to anyone who is older, just please know you are at greater risk from the virus. And it's so much better to protect yourselves than for your family to have to grieve your loss because of a virus that there's a vaccine against. So please, again, if not for you, for those you love, get vaccinated. The other thing is, at this point, the president of the United States has gotten this vaccine. The vice president of the United States has gotten the vaccine. All of the senators and congresspeople, they've all gotten the vaccine. The governor's gotten the vaccine. Our fire chief, our police chief are getting the vaccine. Our health director, Leonie Arroyo, got the vaccine. I'm getting the vaccine tomorrow. It is safe. It's effective, and we need to make sure our community is protected so we can move past it. So please be part of that effort with all of us.
And on that note, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us. This has been really informative. Thank you. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us, Mayor Bronin, and tune in next week for another episode of CTLN Opinion Plus. Please remember to please get vaccinated. You're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your community. And don't forget to follow us on all of our social media handles at CT Latino News on Twitter and on Instagram at CT_Latino News. I'm Sabani Campos with CTLN Opinion Plus. See you next time.